I'm sorry I had to play this today. This is the Los Angeles Rams fight song from back in the 70s. And actually, I should say 80s. It looks more like 80s. Back in the 80s when they were in Los Angeles before they moved to St. Louis. And they were, I guess they were pretty good during the 80s. I didn't really watch football that much in the 80s until, because the Colts had already left. And no, I'd only really watch it when I went to my grandparents' house because they lived outside of Washington, and they always had the Redskins games on, that and golf whenever we went down there. And so I became a Redskins fan after the Colts had left, and then didn't really pay much attention to football until I got into college. And then after that, the rest is history. But with the Los Angeles Rams being in the Super Bowl, that's today's Super Bowl Sunday, February 3rd, 2019, or 2319, which will play a part later on in the episode. It's episode 280 of Dylan Knows, not so Super Bowl, so I decided I'd start off with a Super Bowl song, kind of. So that's the Los Angeles Rams fight song from the 1980s. Very typical 80s style music. Obviously, most people don't like the Patriots for a number of reasons. I have my personal reasons. I don't like Tom Brady. I don't like the New England Patriots also because everyone says, oh, having these dynasties is good for the game. No, it really isn't. And, would I feel different if the Ravens were entering in their 9th Super Bowl or the Redskins were entering their 9th Super Bowl in 18 years? Sure, I guess. Maybe I would. But at this point, though, you kind of want to see different teams. You're always seeing the Patriots in there, and and it was rough a few years ago. And it was the Patriots and Seahawks and the Broncos and Seahawks. So you get the Seahawks come in 2 years in a row. And it was different though back in the old days because I kind of enjoyed watching Buffalo being there 4 times in a row because the problem with Buffalo was they lost all 4 of them. And you were always hoping, okay, the first one was like, okay, they're in there. And okay, the second one they made it in, okay, they lost the first one. Maybe listen, then they lost that one. It's like, okay, they need to win one. So then they get the third one. It's like, okay, maybe this is the year they're going to win it. No, it's not. Then the fourth, he's like, this has got to be the year. No, it isn't. So someone just, okay. So Dawn is just letting me know she's getting an oil change and going to the grocery store. Okay, so that's what that's all about. So, but I wanted to see something different. I thought it would be good to see Kansas City versus New Orleans. Hell, it would even been interesting to see Kansas City versus the Los Angeles Rams. I would have liked that too. I don't know. Maybe the Patriots Saints would have been a better game to watch. I don't know, but I have no vested interest really in this game. The only vested interest I have is financial. Here are my 2. I'm not going to open them up because I'm just going to tell you I got shitty numbers. But those are the the Super Bowl pools that we always do, which are the blocks. The blocks are where you pick blocks at random. You pay your fee. I paid $5 for a block for one and $10 for another, and you pick them at random. And then once the entire block is full, they pick numbers at random, and they have the Rams and the Patriots here. So the numbers are at random, so you don't know where you're going to end up. And then at the end of every quarter, if say like with one of mine is 0 and 1, I think it's the Patriots have 0 and the Rams have 1. So if the Rams are up 21-10 at the end of the first quarter, I would win the first quarter cash because you get a cash payout every quarter. And I think even overtime also, but I think there's only been one overtime game, maybe. I'm not sure. But no, actually, I don't think there is because the payout is only by 4 quarters. So that's how they work out the payout with what you paid for it. So if that's the case, I'd win the first quarter. If it was 31-20, Rams over the Patriots in the second quarter, I'd win again. And if it was 31-20 in the third quarter, I would win. If it ends up 41-30 or 41-40, I would win it also all 4 times. So it's possible you could win all 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1 time, 0 times. And the more boxes you have, the more numbers you have a chance at winning. So this one's a little bit easier to win than the actual lottery, but it's still not that easy because I've never won one because my numbers have been crap. So I've got crappy numbers. I've got 8s and 5s and 2s and 7s and no, not 7. I don't have some 2s and like 9s and stuff like that. So I got weird numbers that just aren't going to really, on the surface, look like they're going to work out too well. So we'll see. That's really my only vested interest. We're not doing a party this year. Usually friends of ours do a party, but we had a busy day yesterday, which we'll talk about on the show. And some more. So let's get into what's going on. So we'll do Super Bowl preview real quick. What else we got going on? What I did yesterday, this week in the polar vortex. We got a bunch of dick stories, penis stories, which are actually kind of interesting. We've got mutant animals. We've got some new food items. We have the death of two people, two celebrities I'm going to discuss that a lot of people might not know about. DC Cinematic Universe unveiled 3 new movies, and they're all coming out the same year. More Valentine's Day gifts, including more bouquets and other stuff that they're pushing for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is next week, not this week coming up, but the next week after that. Since we're in early February now, really February 3rd. The reasoning behind what's interesting about the numbers 2319. We're going to talk about that as well. And people giving away stuff like houses and businesses for very minimal. We'll talk a little bit about that also. And probably one of the absolute most disgusting cocktails I've ever heard of. And it's not an onion or anything like that. It's a real cocktail. And finally, Black Panther and Spider-Verse have made some more waves in the movie award season. So we're going to talk about that right now. So, scared to ram it. Let's talk some Super Bowl real quick. Usually I do a Man Day show with MJ Khan this week. I had a lot I wanted to talk about this week. I got 3 pages worth of notes and stuff I want to talk about. And I want to try to get this done quickly and get stuff moving. Dawn's going to go get the groceries, so maybe she'll get some good stuff for tonight's Super Bowl. I doubt it, though. Anyway, so Super Bowl preview. Los Angeles Rams versus New England Patriots. Everybody hates the Patriots. The Rams started off the year very, very strong, and then as the season progressed, they seemed to not have as much in the tank as you thought they would, and they basically kind of lucked into the Super Bowl for the most part. So the Rams have definitely have to play better than they had in their playoff games that they played this year, and in the final few games of the season where they looked dead on arrival. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. The Patriots, they looked like they were going to be shitty coming into the end of the season, but then they got into the playoffs, and they were, as we've said before, you become a completely different team in the playoffs, and it skyrocketed. And now they are the favorites to win. A lot of people are expecting a kind of a high-scoring game because the Rams, despite the fact that they are kind of weak, they have put up a lot of points this season, and the Patriots always seem to put up a lot of points also. So a lot of people are looking at some 38-31 scores, 30-27, that type of stuff. So I'd say we're probably going to be in that general area. I'm not expecting a defensive standoff, so no 9-6, 7-0 type scores. No, I'm looking at a lot of scoring, and I think it would be appropriate that with this season of massive high scoring with the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Rams all being, having high scoring games, multiple ones at that the season finale of the NFL, the Super Bowl, should be a high-scoring affair, and here's hoping it is to make up for the uninteresting matchup. So my prediction, though I'm loath to say it, just the way these teams have been playing and I've been watching and things are going with them, I think the Patriots are going to win this one, and it's going to be it's going to be a shootout. I'm looking at, I like the 38-31 sound of that. That seems about right. So I think that would be a good score to have, somewhere in that range, 38-31, 38-35, something like that would be a possibility. So there's my prediction. And that's really, I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl because honestly, I don't care. The commercials might see some Endgame stuff. Captain Marvel, Shazam, whatever. But, and the commercials themselves, you'll be able to see all these on YouTube tomorrow. And there's really no reason to watch them if you want to. So we'll see. I'll watch the game because it's football and it's 6 hours from now. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. I don't know if I'll be that interested in it. So we'll see what happens. But the one good thing about this weekend is also it's Hall of Fame weekend, where they pick the next class of NFL Hall of Famers. And former Raven Ed Reed was up for his first time. And let me see if I can find the list of who got into the Hall of Fame. NFL Hall of Fame class. NFL Hall of Fame inductees 2019. Okay. So the inductees into the NFL Hall of Fame are first ballot Hall of Famers Ed Reed of the Ravens and Tony Gonzalez. In addition to them, we have cornerbacks Champ Bailey and Ty Law, and also Kevin Mawai. The seniors committee added Gil Brandt and Pat Bolin. Gil Brandt and Pat Bolin were added as contributors, and Johnny Robinson was added as a member of the senior committee. So that's your NFL Hall of Fame class. This makes it the third Raven inducted into the Hall of Fame. He is also the third first ballot Raven to get into the Hall of Fame. And it is 2 in a row. Ray Lewis went in last year, and this year Ed Reed's going in. After that, we get into kind of a dry area. The next possible Hall of Fame candidate is Terrell Suggs, who's still playing right now, so we won't see him for, if he plays another year to 2 years, 3 years, it's 5 years after that. We're looking at somewhere in the 2025, 2026 range. So it's going to be a while before another Raven gets put into the Hall of Fame. Now, we might get some players who might have played, like had a cup of coffee with the Ravens or whatever, might get in. We'll see. There should be some interesting people coming up soon. Peyton Manning should be coming up soon. So on and so forth. So we'll see what happens. And one funny side note is everybody's hating on my quarterback, Joe Flacco. There's some proof that Joe Flacco has better Hall of Fame credentials than Green Bay Packers Aaron Rodgers quarterback, and they've done comparisons, stuff like that. And it's actually kind of illuminating because everybody always anoints Aaron Rodgers as the best quarterback in the NFL, but his numbers still are really, really good, but compared to Joe Flacco, it's a different story. So we'll see what happens. So congratulations. That's why I'm wearing my Ed Reed jersey today. So congratulations on that. And the Ravens, a team that's only been around since 1996, have 3 Hall of Famers. So, yeah. Yesterday, well, not technically yesterday. Let's actually, the 30th, January 30th, was actually my sister-in-law Catherine's birthday. She had the big 4-0 birthday. I had to mention it just because it's a big birthday. And so her husband, Mike, decided that they were going to have a nice little party for her yesterday. Catherine is a big fan of Jane Austen. So while Catherine was going to pick up her sister Shannon at the airport, Mike set up a tea party, old style Jane Austen type tea party with finger sandwiches with the crust cut off and cucumber stuff and, all kinds of, and tea, obviously lots of tea also. And people could come in costume. They had, derby hats and parasols and fans and flowery type of headband things. And Mike dressed up in sort of a kind of interesting type of suit. My father-in-law, who has a really nice kind of suit like that, also he dressed up as well. A couple of Catherine's friends who were invited also came and they dressed up as well. So it was kind of nice. And surprise for Catherine, she wasn't expecting that because her big party was at iFly. Now, for those who don't know what iFly is, it's actually all across the country. Actually, it is a indoor skydiving experience. Now, it's not exactly like skydiving. Obviously, it's a place where actually it uses technology that skydivers use to train to skydive. Basically, they only have one in each of these buildings, but it's a giant tube that goes 100, 200 feet up in the air. It's really, really high. I mean, it goes really, really high. It's like 10, 15, 20 stories tall. And they only have one. And it sits on a giant fan. And basically they can control the speed of the fan, and the more speed you have, the better you can get shot up into the top like there. But because a lot of this is introductory stuff, they keep the fan at a lower level. And then they have trainers that are with you the whole time. They bring you in, you put on your helmets and earplugs and glasses and flight suits, stuff like that. And they go through all the procedures and the hand signals because you can't hear them because the fans are so loud. And they go into the tube with you, and they get you to float in the air because that's what the fan is able to hold you up in the air, and they're able to just steady you and make sure you're not moving and hitting the tube, stuff like that. And then if you got it, they'll let you go and try to float around on your own a little bit. You have to keep your legs straight, your hands up like this, and it's quite an experience. So that's what Catherine wanted to do. So they asked who all wants to do it, and I was forced into it by my wife. I didn't really want to, but she sort of chided me for it, and in the end, I'm glad I did because I actually enjoyed it immensely. It was a lot of fun. It was in White Marsh, which is right down the street. Well, not right down the street. It's about half hour from here, but it's closer than they live in Columbia, which is about half an hour the other way. The other one that's in this area is in Gaithersburg, which is like 45 minutes away. So I'm kind of glad we did the one in White Marsh because I know that area better than Gaithersburg. So we went in and we had about 13 of us that were doing it, and we each got 3 times in the air tube. And one of those times was going to be a high flight. Basically, another trainer would come in, and the trainer who was in charge of your group would get you set, and then this other trainer would take over and grab you, and then he would fly up with you, and you would fly up, not all the way to the top, but you would go about, I don't know, 10, no, more than that, probably 20 feet up in the air. Not as high as the tube goes, but you'll be able to actually, he'll hold on to you, and you guys go up together. And that was actually, of the 3 chances, the other 2 are just the lower level ones, just trying to get you to float right. That was my favorite because it was different, it was unique, and I didn't feel at all like I was in danger of anything happening to me. So you didn't think much about it. It was great. My daughter went in once. She was scared, but she faced her fear. She went in once. She did it once. And each one is a minute long. So everybody's in there for a minute. After that, she was done. So she didn't do it the other 2 times. And you also had the right that if you didn't want to do the high flight, you didn't have to. So there were a couple of the kids who were there. My son didn't want to do the high flight, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law didn't want to do the high flight, which makes sense. So they didn't. They didn't have to do that, but they still got the chance to do 3 times in the tube. So it was a fun, unique time. Good hour and a half spent in there, and it was unique. It's really interesting because the wind blows your face and you're trying to breathe, and you go like this, and your cheeks start flapping, and you're like, it's really kind of, so you have to breathe through your nose, which is kind of hard because you're getting all this air blown in your face. But it's fun and it's unique, and sure, I'd probably do it again in a second. So that was a good event as well. This week was Polar Vortex Week. Let me tell you what went on this week. After last week's show, kids went into school on Monday. It was a regular day. Everything was fine. Noel did not have basketball because the other rec league team was playing on that Monday. So they basically had like a bye. Tuesday, a storm in front of the polar vortex. A snowstorm was coming in front of the polar vortex, and they closed schools early because the snow that was going to come was going to start happening right at leaving time for a lot of kids. So they didn't want that to happen, so they closed schools early on Tuesday because about 2 to 4 inches of snow fell on us. And so they closed schools, and they shut down Boy Scouts, and they shut down no, there's no basketball. They shut down Boy Scouts. Then Wednesday, school was closed because after the snowstorm hit Tuesday, the polar vortex came in and froze the snow, and the ice. The roads were so icy, and lots of side roads were not treated properly. My road wasn't treated, so we have a little hill you have to go up to. I always slide on these hills, so I didn't I was afraid to go in, so I stayed home with the kids because school was closed. So again, basketball was canceled for Noel. Thursday, they went in 2 hours late because that was the coldest day of the week, and they figured that they would wait till the sun was out a little bit more. It wouldn't be as bad. But to be honest, the temperature only changed about 3 degrees between the 3 to like maybe 6 degrees. Between it was 3 degrees in the morning when they would have been out walking, till about 9 degrees when they went out walking for real. And then after that, Friday comes, and you're like, okay, it's going to be a regular school day, whatever. So Friday comes, the weathermen are calling for a clipper, which is a small little burst of snow, nothing really major. They said it'd be about 1 to 2 inches, and then it would be done by like 1 p.m. So no one thought it was going to happen. Well, 1 p.m. came, and it kept snowing. 2 p.m. snowing. 3 p.m. snowing, 4 p.m. snowing, 5 p.m. snowing, 6 p.m. snowing, 7 p.m. snowing, 8 p.m. snowing, 9 p.m. is when around time they started to stop. So a clipper that was supposed to be in and out real quick actually stalled and turned into a regular snowstorm. Now, it looked like that was what was going to happen, so schools actually closed early on Friday. So, and then, it still was fairly chilly out, not as cold as it had been on Thursday, but still chilly out. And then Saturday, there were still, icy areas, so they canceled basketball yesterday. So Noel did not play any basketball this week. Had 1 full day of school. So did Noah, 1 full day of school. And I took a day off because of snow. So that was that, stuff like that. Now, something else interesting happened. This week started the beginning of Palkia, which is the new raid boss, legendary raid boss in Pokemon Go. And it started on Tuesday. So the snow was starting to hit around Tuesday evening when my wife was working late, and I saw when they do new raid bosses, it usually starts on Tuesday at 4 p.m. So right at 4 p.m., a legendary egg hopped, and we knew that when it hatched an hour, it would be Palkia, the new one. So I wanted to do it. It was at one of the local ones near me, and my wife wasn't going to be home yet. So I said, hey, could you let the Discord people know that there is going to be a legendary raid. Palkia is going to be at the cemetery. They might want to go and do that. It's the first one of the new Palkia series. So you probably get a lot of people who want to do it. So she sent it out, and so a lot of people were going to go. So I said, okay, I'm going to walk over because I didn't want to take my car out. So at that point, the snow was coming down really hard, but I figured I would walk because it wasn't bad yet. It was probably about 1 inch or 2 on the ground when I was walking, and it wasn't bad, and it wasn't that far. The cemetery is not that far from my house. So I took my spare key because the kids were here in the house by themselves. And I always lock the door and tell them not to answer the door until Dawn got home or I got home. So I locked the door and I put the spare key in my pocket. Now, it was, as I said, the snow was falling and it was getting colder because the polar vortex was coming behind it. So as I was walking, I had on a pair of gloves I got for Christmas, which you can use, has little nodules on the thumb and forefinger, so you can wear gloves and use your phone. So I had those on. I was going to use that to fight with, because it was freezing cold and it was snowing, to fight the legendary. And then I put on my other gloves to give me an extra layer of protection. And I was carrying both my phone and Noah's phone because Dawn's like, you might want to take Noah's to get a chance to have a first time encounter with Palkia. So I walk to the end of our street, and then I go down the hill and I cross the football field, and there's a couple out there with their dog, and the dog's all excited and running through the snow, and he comes towards me and playfully, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I kept walking, and then I had to go up this snowy hill, which I did, and then I walked in the street because the snow was starting to cover on the street, and walked up to the cemetery. Now, I had gotten word from Dawn that they wanted to go in sooner than we had predicted. I was like, I'm not even there yet. I'm walking. So they had enough for 2 raids. So they said, okay, they're going to have one group go in first and be sure you get in the second time. So there was no communication. So I had to just guess when the next one was in. So I was able to get Noah and I back in. And then we fought and all that stuff. But then I guess because of the cold and because Noah's phone is cheap, his phone shut down before I was able to try to catch Palkia for him. So he never got a chance to, I never got a chance to catch Palkia for him. And so I caught him on my phone. So I'm walking back home, and I reach into my pocket. I can't find the house key. So I'm checking all my pockets and stuff like that. I'm checking the gloves. My house key's gone. Now, I had been putting my gloves in and out, taking them on and off because of the snow, and having to wipe the phone with the gloves to get the snow off of it and stuff like that. So I was pulling them off, putting them in my pockets, putting them, okay, I'll just walk with it. No, I'll put them this, and I was going back and forth with it. So I know sometime in there, as I was moving stuff around my pocket, the key just fell, and I didn't notice it because I was too busy with the phone and moving stuff around. So somewhere between my house and the cemetery is my key. Now, you think, it's not a big deal. It's a spare key. We have one. So I told Dawn that. I said, I'm going to look around and see if I can find it. And by now, twilight's starting to fall, and the snow is getting really heavy now. So I figure I'll just retrace my steps, see if it's heavy enough. Maybe it'll still, and it's gold, so maybe it'll still be shiny and it won't be covered in snow. And if it was, I'd still be able to see it because it's gold and stuff like that. So I'm looking out there, and I'm walking around, and Dawn texts me back. She's in panic mode because the keychain is a gift from her college or high school basketball coach. So she was upset that I lost it. So I felt guilty. So I spent like over an hour retracing my steps over and over again, even going so far back as walking to my house and then walking back to see if it was around there. And at the time, people are shoveling their walks. So if it would have fallen, into someone's yard, they might have already, dumped it into the regular snow and stuff like that. So I did a couple of checks. I think I spent about 2 hours outside, while the snow's coming down in the freezing cold as the polar vortex is coming, trying to find this key because Dawn was upset. And then she was upset with me for going out multiple times to get it. So she was asking me to come back. And I was like, but I felt guilty and stuff like that. So I said, look, I'll go back out and try again in the sunlight. So school closed on Wednesday, and the really, really freezing temperatures went out. I went early, like at 9 a.m. And when it was still really sunny out and maybe not as bad as cold air, and retraced my steps again. Couldn't find it because by now all the snow had covered and turned to ice. So I was like, okay. I took a look at the week ahead. The temperatures are going to be skyrocketing. In fact, right now it is 46 degrees, which is really, really nice. It's going to be 53 tomorrow, 58 Tuesday, 45 Wednesday, 54 Thursday, 55 Friday. And rain is going to pop up Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. So with the combination of the melting of the snow and the rain, which is going to help melt the snow out also, I'll probably go out and take a look for the key again. Maybe I'll go out after the show and do a quick walk around because there's been some melting. Maybe I'll be able to find it. A better day would probably be like Wednesday, because by then most of the snow should be gone. And, it's going to still be chilly and wet and yucky out. So a lot of people probably aren't going to notice a gold key ring out there. And even if they do, a lot of people are just going to walk past it and ignore it. It's like, yeah, whatever. Because why would they have it? I mean, maybe they'll check and see, is there an address? No, there isn't. I'll just throw it back on the ground or whatever. Maybe they'll find it. So here's hoping that, sometime this week, I'll go for a little walk again. I'll be able to find it, because I would feel really, really guilty if I lost it, because it was technically my fault. So that was what happened with that. The Groundhog Day was yesterday. Groundhog saw his shadow. Didn't see a shadow, which is early. Yeah, which is early spring. So for the first time in a while, it's early spring. So we're getting that early spring. So hooray for that. And, with this 50-degree weather coming, this week, hey, maybe he's telling the truth. So that is it for like local stuff till I get a little bit further down the line. But now we're going to get into some of the other highlights of the week. The first one is 5 Russian women agreed to be what's the word I'm thinking of? I can't read. Artificially inseminated with chimpanzee sperm, so they can create a hybrid monkey-human super soldier for the Russians. Now, this is, I don't know, this might be more of a more dubious story, but it was one that popped up online recently, and I thought it was interesting enough to be on my show because, hey, if you've watched my show, you know this kind of stuff I talk about. So, hey, I figure we'll throw that out there. It's interesting, the idea that they are trying to create a monkey-human hybrid. I guess that's the next level of geneticist stuff, is to try to crossbreed animals and people to create super soldiers that are part animal, part people. So we'll see if it happens, and or if it was even a real story. I don't know, but I just wanted to throw it out there anyway. Speaking of mutant animals, this is real stories. These two stories I already tell you are real stories. This one, as I said, is dubious. It could be true, but we might not know for sure. These two are real stories that actually, nature.com and stuff like that talked about. One is there have been a number of mutant blue-eyed coyotes that have been spotted in California. Now, coyotes are not supposed to have blue eyes. That's a genetic trait that they're not supposed to have. But a number of them have been spotted in California with blue eyes. So a lot of studies are going into it to why that happened. Maybe there's an evolution thing, or maybe it's just whatever kept them from having blue eyes has disappeared or whatever. But there are a number of blue-eyed mutant coyotes out in the wild now. And again, sort of, if it's a mutation leading to evolution, that goes with the story I've been telling for months now, that something's going on with the animals and they are starting to evolve a little bit more, and we better watch out. Also, this is interesting because I love cardinals. I have a shirt I wore on, Dylan knows, I think it might have been last week or 2 weeks ago, which is a cardinal red shirt. I just love it. We have a family of cardinals. We've had a family of cardinals, multiple generations, I'm assuming, out in our backyard since we've moved here. And they're always still there, males and females, and there's lots of them, and sometimes there's lots of babies, and sometimes there's not so many, but there's always cardinals in our backyard. And I always like to think that it's a generational thing, that it's a different generations coming back to where they lived, and they're still there. I saw them the other day, so they're still hanging out there. But a half male, half female cardinal has been found. Now, the easiest way to tell the difference is the female ones are the the more pale, peach-looking colored cardinals with little streaks of red here and there. The cardinals that you always expect with the red and the comb stuff, that's the bright red, so that's the male. This one is like almost like two faces, like half female, half male. So that's kind of an interesting evolution as well. And maybe could be a new species, or just an evolution that's going to be coming with the animals. So keep an eye on that. We'll see what's going on with that. I'll cover those stories too. Yeah, why not? Let's do them right now. Here's two more stories. An endangered red panda who was at the Belfast Zoo escaped from his pen and decided to take a day trip into the city and explored all around the city before he was caught. So I thought it's kind of a funny story that red panda wanted to get out. He got out of the Belfast Zoo and then went around and explored Belfast, going down the alleys and walking up and down the streets and stuff like that. So it must have been quite a day. People seeing that might have been like, what the heck is that? That's kind of cool. Excuse me. Also, a dog travels more than 100 kilometers. I'm not exactly sure how that is in the non-metric system, but a dog traversed more than 100 kilometers to bite its owner after it was abandoned. So the owner abandoned the dog and then moved or did whatever. The dog hunted them down and bit them. And I think that's great. And again, continues to show my story that these dogs, animals, something's going on. They're evolving. They're making some changes, and we need to be more aware of what is going on. Do I have any other animal stories in here that I want to hit while I've got this going on? Yeah, a cat comforts an anxious dog while his owner is away. There was a video of, a dog who's anxious when his owner went away, not used to his owner being away. And the cat that's like, that's no big deal, came up to him, was like rubbing up against him and pawing him and curling up next to him to try to calm him down. So you have your emotional support cat helping you with a dog. That's really that's a nice story as well. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, the emotional support alligator. Now, last week we talked about an emotional support alligator that a gentleman used that helped him and was afraid of cats and was a lovable little alligator. Well, this one is another one that helps children with disabilities. So their emotional support alligators are not a one-time thing. There's apparently a number of different ones. And I guess anything can really be an emotional support animal, I guess. But the fact is, crocodiles are always seen as being, and alligators are seen to be these horrific, terrible beasts. But these stories from this one from last week and the one from this week show that maybe it's not what you quite think. So, oh, I better change that so I don't because what the hell is that? No, it's that. Let's see, any other. Oh yeah, rabbits. Apparently discovered that rabbits are actually cannibals, and they like to eat meat. Now you've always expected, you have your pet rabbit, you feed it grass or clover or carrots or whatever, and you expect it eats veggies. Well, there have been some videos recently, that show rabbits, maybe in the wild, eating dead rabbits and other meat. Again, maybe the animals are evolving. Maybe something's coming. I keep telling you, when it happens, I'll be sitting here on my show saying, see, I told you, and then I'll be attacked by my cat, and that'll be the end of me. I think that's it. Yeah, it's science stuff, that's food stuff, that's political stuff, that's free stuff, that's Pornhub, that's sports stuff. Yep, so that's it for all the animal stories I can see. If I come across another one, I'll talk about it. But some interesting stuff and more proof that, hey, maybe the animals are starting to turn that corner, and the world of animosity, which is a comic book you all should be reading, might be coming to fruition. Valentine's Day. I got a bunch of these stories as well, so we'll do a couple of these as well. Valentine's Day is coming up, as I said, next week. It's the 3rd of February, so Valentine's Day is the 14th, so that is 11 days from now is Valentine's Day. So that leaves me, let's see, 7 days from now will be the 10th, so next weekend, it'll be the weekend after that will be Valentine's Day. So we've got one more episode, Dylan Knows It, for Valentine's Day. But I figured I'll go over this right now, because I have a bunch of Valentine's Day stuff coming up. You all heard about the Valentine's Day sweaters for two. You and your lover, you put on the same sweater and you walk around and all's great. Oh, this is cute. We're being together in the same shirt, blah, blah, blah. Well, they have a new Valentine's Day sweater for two, but this time it's for you and your dog. So you and your dog can be wearing the same sweater together at the same time, not identical sweaters, no, ones that are connected, to help you be more in tune with your dog. Okay, we'll do that. All right. Oh, there's another bear animal story. Well, I'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm getting there in a second. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, yeah. So the new thing I've been going over the last few weeks on Dylan Knows, I've been telling stories about various bouquets that have been coming out. There's a Reese's bouquet. There's a beef jerky bouquet that you can, give to your loved ones for Valentine's Day. It seems to be the new trend this year, because I got two for you now. One is a pickle bouquet is now available. So if you know somebody who loves, or your Valentine loves pickles, you can find yourself and buy yourself a pickle bouquet for them. And then how about a donut bouquet for those who love donuts? You can get a donut bouquet filled with all your favorite donuts. I don't think Dunkin's doing that, but donuts are donuts, and hey, it'd be a good treat for those who love it. Also, this isn't oh my God, this is, something new and unusual, but I've talked about chocolate red wine before. My wife has had some before, and we have some upstairs. But Aldi, which is a grocery store that will not be able to sell it here in Maryland, but any other Aldi right now will be selling chocolate red wine for Valentine's Day. So you get the combination of both chocolate and red wine for your loved ones that love both. You can get those also. You don't have to go to Aldi, but you can go to liquor stores. They have plenty of those also, and they're probably better, to be honest, than Aldi has. But hey, it's out there, and I just want to let you know out there. There's heart-shaped ravioli is going to be available, I think, at Costco or something like that. It's different colored ravioli, but it's all heart-shaped as well. For a romantic Valentine's Day dinner, you can make some heart-shaped ravioli for you and your loved one like that. Where's the other one? It's the Chick-fil-A one. Can I find the Chick-fil-A ones? It got to be from yesterday when I was doing this. There we go. Heart-shaped chicken mini boxes are also going to be available from Chick-fil-A for your Valentine. It's a heart-shaped box. Inside the heart-shaped box, you have heart-shaped chicken sandwiches, the little mini chicken sandwiches you can get at Chick-fil-A. Don't get it on Sunday because it's not going to be open, but it's a thing out there now. So more and more things to get for your Valentine are out there. And hey, I'm sure by next week also, I'll probably have some more of those as well. Keeping on the food aspect of it, Snickers coffee creamer is also a thing that's coming out now. Same with Dove dark chocolate almond coffee creamer as well. So if you liked Snickers candy, try the Snickers coffee creamer. If you like the dark chocolate almond Dove candies, they have one of those out there as well. So hey, if you're into that type of stuff, go for it. Disneyland shuts down, which is the one in California. Disneyland shuts down Space Mountain after a visitor jumps off of the ride while it's in motion. Now, it's not as bad as it sounds. Apparently the person had emotional issues, but was not suicidal. I think maybe they were just freaking out on the ride and they wanted to get off. So they were able to slither out of their safety harness and jumped off of the ride. Now, the person's alive. I don't think it was going too fast at the time. And I don't think they hit anything or fell and hurt themselves or died or anything like that. The fact is, the story is that they had to shut down the ride because someone was able to get out of the safety harness. They need to take a look at that and figure out what's going on with that. So don't let that deter you from going to amusement parks, because you hear stories like this happening all the time. It's actually not a lot that it happens, and they're fairly safe. And these places go absolutely bonkers for safety, so they'll go out of their way to make sure everything is nice and safe. So feel comfortable enough that it's going to happen. And if something bad happens, it happens. There's nothing you can do about it, but don't make that be, well, you know what? Well, this happened, 10 years ago, or this happened last year, or this happened in California. I'm not going to go to this ride out here in Pennsylvania. So just try it and see what happens. Going to amusement park, don't jump out of any rides. I'm not condoning that. That's not good. This one I should have put in with the other animal stories. And again, this is a story that could prove that animals are evolving, or it could be something completely different, because now there's a different article about this as well. One of the worst things that can happen is if you have a 3-year-old child and the 3-year-old gets lost in the woods and it's cold and dark and he doesn't know where it is, and you don't know where your kid is, and you're going crazy trying to find him, and you don't know if you're ever going to find him because the woods keep going and there's so many trees and bushes and animals out there. You don't know what's going to happen, so you freak out. It's one of the worst things that could absolutely happen. Well, this happened to a family where a 3-year-old was lost in the woods for a couple days, I think, cold woods. When he was found, he had made his way back to the ranger station or whatever. So he was able to make his way back on his own. When he came back, he told a story that a bear helped him. Doesn't mean like, was talking to him like Baloo does or whatever, but no, it was more along the lines of he was lost, crying, whiny. He's a 3-year-old. He's scared. He's going to cry, and he's cold and doesn't know enough. And a bear saw this, and instead of thinking, ooh, easy food, something within the bear, probably female, to be honest, said, I need to protect this young child. And so, the bear came over, and according to this young boy, he she protected the boy, kept him warm. I think helped him find food and water. I think. Um, I mean, I don't think the bear found food for him and gave it to him, but I think put him in a direction or whatever. But so yeah, so he got lost and he said that a bear protected him, which is awesome if that's the case, that a bear protected him, made sure that he was safe and warm, and waited till was able to maybe help them, able to help him find his way back to where he needed to go. If that's the story, that's a great story and more proof that animals are protectors and can be protectors depending. I talked about one where a group of lions protected a young girl from a sex cult in Africa, and the lions ended up, I think, mauling the people who were trying to catch the girl, but they were protecting her, put her in the middle, and they were circling her to make sure no one would touch her, and they were overly protective of this. So animals seem, as I said, more proof that animals seem to be evolving into something else. Or maybe they've always been that way. We've never heard these stories before. But to me, it seems like these are all kind of more recent, newer things going on. So, of course, there's more to the story. There are those people out there who are huge supernatural fans and stuff like that, who start thinking, you know what? Maybe it wasn't a bear that protected him. Now, he's a young kid. He doesn't know the difference between a bear and something else. These people are saying, maybe Bigfoot helped them. Now, again, it could be. I mean, I'm a believer in Bigfoot. I believe that there's some, because there's lots of stuff that we haven't discovered yet, lots of animals we haven't discovered yet, even in America. And Bigfoots and bears have been confused for each other all the time. I mean, you could probably say most of the Bigfoot sightings that you've seen are probably bears in some form or another, because bears can walk on their hind legs and they're 12 feet tall like Bigfoots are and stuff like that. But what if the child doesn't know the difference between Bigfoot and he probably doesn't even know what Bigfoot is. He's 3 years old, and he knows what a bear is probably because his parents are probably telling him, hey, watch out for bears, or he might watch Yogi Bear, knows about bears or whatever. But could it possibly be maybe Bigfoot helped him? Sure, that's a good story as well. But I like the idea that a bear, and it probably was a bear helped them, because animals have been shown to be kind to children if they're not, threatening their children. So could it be a bear? Sure. I mean, more than likely it's probably a bear, but could it be Bigfoot? Absolutely, it could be as well. So just kind of a neat little side story to this story as well. All right. That's a sex story. I'll connect that to something else. That's going to be a sex story also. This isn't really a sex story, but it's could be considered sexy, I guess. Butt jorts are a thing. Jean shorts, and the new butt jorts have half your butt showing. So it's tore up jeans, because that seems to be a trend also. But these are tore up jean shorts that one cheek is covered but has holes in it. The other cheek is completely exposed. And I guess it's a sexy type of thing. Hey, check my ass out, stuff like that. So they're $148 for half a pair of shorts, which is just dumb, but I'm not one to judge fashion. You have a girlfriend or boyfriend who has a nice ass, and you get them some of these butt jorts, get to see their ass all the time and easy access to touch them too. Yeah, why not? Speaking of relationships, I've been talking, there have been new trends in weddings. I've talked about, I think last week I talked about the nude wedding dress, where basically, it's a very sheer wedding dress and the naughty bits are covered, but you can tell that they're not wearing anything underneath that. So here's a new one that's not quite as sexy as that, but bouquets are a big thing at weddings. Everyone wants to find that perfect bouquet of flowers and wonderful flowers they love, stuff like that. I mean, it was bad. We had a great bouquet at our wedding, and it got disappeared. We don't know what quite happened to it, so my wife was unable to keep her bouquet from our wedding. But the new thing now is, how about cotton candy bouquets? Yes, it is a thing. It is a new trend at weddings. Brides are carrying down the aisle not flower bouquets, but bouquets of actual cotton candy that you can eat. Now, again, I guess not a bad idea. I mean, it's kind of fluffy, something from your childhood. It comes in a lot of different colors, lots of different colors. And it can, coordinate with whatever the color you're going with for your wedding. I don't know if you want to throw it, be like throwing it and it's going to like float like a little cloud. And then whoever catches going to like all this sugary stuff on their face, like, so we'll see what happens. I'll add that to my sex story. And that's not really a sex story. It's just more of a weird story, sort of like the butt jort thing. So this is a butt story, actually. In Belgium, a artist has created a number of hotel rooms, basically, that are all together in one area that look like buttholes. This is not The Onion. This is not fake news. It's artistic. It is technically it's a colon-shaped hotel room. But the way it's shaped is it ends with the anus area right here, visible on the outside. Inside, it's got a kitchen and bathrooms and bedrooms, lots of windows to get light in, and it's in the middle of like a Belgian forest, so it's going to be very beautiful scenery. And there's a whole bunch of them, and it's warm during the winter and cold during the summer, stuff like that. But you're sleeping and eating, fornicating, going to the bathroom, showering in a butthole, for all intents and purposes, in a colon, if you want to call it that. The exterior has a period that looks like a butthole. It's art, but it's also weird. That'll be part of my sex story, my giveaway story. Local man was arrested this week. I don't think it's local. I think local man was the story. I don't know where he was local to, but he was arrested this week during the polar vortex for running around in Mr. Freeze cosplay and doing cold puns like they did in Arnold Schwarzenegger did in the movie Batman and Robin. I don't know why he was arrested. I guess maybe he was trespassing or whatever, but he was running around in the freezing cold air making ice to see you, but he was wearing Mr. Freeze cosplay. So, hey, it's creative. I mean, hell, they made a big deal about police officers arresting an Elsa from Frozen cosplayer and throwing her in jail also as a joke. So we'll see. As I talked about in Pokemon Go, there's a new legendary raid, Palkia, but the raid bosses have their CPs, their combat powers have been increased to make them harder to beat. And also I've noticed that in this new update as well, they have upped the amount of Stardust you need to power up your Pokemon, which is stupid, but that's besides the point. And more Gen 4 Pokemon have been released, so if you've been following Pokemon Go or been wanting to get back in, now's the best time to do it. Also part of this polar vortex, we've had something that I've never heard of called frost quakes in Chicago, and apparently Dawn read something that we had some frost quakes here in Maryland. Now I don't know exactly what that is. Is it just the it just being so cold that the ice breaks, or what? I don't know. But frost quakes are a thing and happened this week. Jose Canseco, former baseball player, former PED user, former turncoat who, name names, stuff like that, now says he truly believes that aliens are trying to teach us time travel. I don't know if this is a grab to try to get him more attention again, to make him relevant again, but this is the same dude who had a fly ball bounce off of his head and go into the upper deck as a ground rule double. So I don't know. Maybe he's just been hit on the head too often. CBS has ordered a Frankenstein pilot drama for TV. But because CBS is anything but a old school TV station, this Frankenstein reboot will have Frankenstein solving cases, criminal cases. Now, DC has created their version of Frankenstein's monster and made him be the head or be part of a group of supernatural creatures that take on supernatural aspects, sort of like a version of Hellboy in the DC universe. That's fine, that's cool, but a TV drama where Frankenstein's monster solves crimes. Now, while an intriguing idea that it is, and I've heard some people who are scholars saying, well, he did learn how to speak listening to classical music and is actually more intelligent than people give him benefit for. It just seems like a really odd idea. Up there with a musical cop show, Cop Rock. That was on ABC, though. I don't know. Would I watch it? I don't know. Depends. Drake, musician Drake, tips 2 McDonald's workers $10,000 each. Man, I wish I was working at McDonald's and Drake came in and he tipped me $10,000. That'd be kind of nice. Now, I don't know. I've heard stories where celebrities have come in and they've tipped their servers huge amounts of money. And somehow they're not allowed to keep it. So I don't know if that's something like that happened with McDonald's. I just saw the headlines like, okay, I got to do it on my show. Josh Boone, I don't know much about him. He's a TV producer. Will be adapting one of my favorite Stephen King books, The Stand, into a limited series onto the CBS All Access channel or screening service. I liked the version of The Stand that came out on network back in the 90s. Because, with it being so popular and then The Stand was hugely popular and Tommyknockers wasn't that bad. They had a bunch of The Shining. They did a bunch of that. But the thing is, with it being on network television, it was neutered for the most part. The Stand is probably, I would still say, is Stephen King's greatest work. Now, you could argue that his Dark Tower saga is, but I still think The Stand is because it's the first book I've ever read that's over 1,000 pages. I've read all 1,000 pages. It suffers from Stephen King's writing, unfortunately. It's a good story, don't get me wrong. And I guess if you want to think about it in one version of it, it is probably his most powerful character-based story with numerous well-rounded characters in it. And each gets their own moment to shine, and they're all really interesting characters. And the premise is a great idea. A disease knocks out 99% of the population of the world, I guess. They just focus in Americas, but right now. And that 1% is immune to it. And the people who are immune to it have been having dreams of either a man in black called the Walking Man or a tender, loving, elderly black woman. The Walking Man's in Vegas, and the loving older woman is in like Kansas or something like that. So the people who dreamed about the older woman are going to Kansas because they know that's where she is, and the people who are dreaming of the Walking Man are going to Vegas. Well, it turns out that it's getting the God or whatever is organizing the end of the world apocalypse with the good guys going to the old lady and the bad guys going to Vegas. Now, it's subjective, though, about who's good and who's bad, because the people who are going to Vegas are not necessarily like evil. There are some of them, but there are people who they just have a different worldview than the good people are supposed to have or whatever. I mean, we have police officers and lawyers and judges and stuff like that who go to Vegas, and you expect them to help you. And then regular people go in there, go to Vegas, but that's just who they're thinking of. And then, not everybody going to the old lady is good, so you've got that type of thing. So then you get these two factions which are building, and you're expecting, okay, it's going to turn into this massive end of the battle fight between good and evil, which is what it was supposed to be. But it sort of peters out. And the climax of the movie, the climax of the story, after the climax of the story, there's still about 150 to 200 pages left in the book, which details the aftermath. But despite all that, it's still good. The original TV version had about 97% excellent casting, including Gary Sinise was fantastic. Rob Lowe, surprisingly, was good. Fagerbakker, I forget his first name, from Coach, was very good also. Ossie Davis, Miguel Ferrer, Max Headroom was in there as well. Matt Frewer, I'm sorry, I was trying to remember what his name was. And some really good casting. But then you had some kind of casting. Korn Nemec's casting as one of the bad guys was sort of. Molly Ringwald's casting as the main female character was. I like Molly Ringwald, but it was flat. And then the main bad guy, Jamie something or other, did not give me the menace. Now, Matthew McConaughey's character in the Idris Elba version of Dark Tower is that version of the Walking Man, and that would be the type of version I would like to see in something like this. I think McConaughey did a really good job and got the voice and the hair and the look down pretty perfectly, and I think that would be he'd be a pretty good Walking Man, but we'll see. So it's going to be a mini series on CBS All Access. So it's going to live and die with the casting for the most part. So if the casting's good, it should be a good miniseries. So we'll see what happens. Talking about the Super Bowl, I think I mentioned this last week, but I'm just going to reiterate it. I did mention it last week. Now I think about it, but I'm going to reiterate it. If the Rams and the Patriots tie and go to overtime, because eventually someone's going to have to win the Super Bowl. You're not going to end it in a tie. But if it just goes to overtime, Buffalo Wild Wings will give everybody in America free wings on February 18th. Just because, you got to give it a couple of weeks to get, if it does happen, to get enough chicken to give to everybody who's going to come in, and you expect to come in and get free ones. So everybody out there hoping for a tie, go for it. A woman finished a marathon carrying a puppy that she rescued during the race. So she's running along, doing her marathon thing, and she sees an abandoned puppy or whatever off to the side. So she stops, goes over, grabs the puppy, and continues running the marathon with the puppy in her arms, and eventually, I guess, adopted it. So that's kind of a neat little story about that. Science. Enormous cavity has opened up underneath Antarctica, which is bad news because eventually that could cause Antarctica to rend in half and cause massive flooding all across the world. Call it climate change, whatever, but something is happening underneath Antarctica that could, if not people are not aware of it, could cause major catastrophes down the line. So just to be continued. Peach Blitz Gatorade. Now, I have this is Mountain Dew Kickstarter, it's not Gatorade, but I like Gatorade. I always have. But they are having, and it's great, they have all kinds of neat little flavors, though they don't really have any taste because it's just minerals and water and stuff like that. But they try to spread out, and then they get some flavoring and stuff like that. And well, they've never had a peach version of Gatorade. Well, now for a limited time, they're going to have Peach Blitz Gatorade. So if you like your peach and you like Gatorade, hey, go for it. Grilled cheese dippers, which looks like a rolled grilled cheese, is a thing now, which you get rolled grilled cheese and you dip it in your tomato soup, and that sounds delicious. So that's something you guys could probably make on your own. A nap desk. You've been, ever been at work and you just kind of want to take a nap, or you're tired, you're on your lunch break or whatever, you want to take a nap. Well, there's a giant desk that has a bed underneath it, and you can go and you can take a nap underneath it. Now, hopefully you'll be able maybe to block it so no one would see you, but it's a neat idea, and naps are always good, and you can nap for your whole lunch break if you want. this week, Dick Miller passed away. A lot of people probably don't know who he is, but if you saw him, you would know who he was in an instant. He is a character actor, one of the best, considered to be one of, all the film directors have like that one guy in every one of their movies. Well, Joe Dante, director of Gremlins and Explorers and Small Soldiers and Matinee and stuff like, and The Burbs. Dick Miller was his guy, and he was in Terminator, and he was in Gremlins and Small Soldiers and The Burbs and the Matinee and stuff like that. He was just a guy, a really good actor, and he also appeared in the Terminator and a whole bunch of other, he was a character, so you would see him. If you saw him, that you know him in a second who he was. So rest in peace, Dick Miller. Also, musician James Ingram passed away. Yamo Be There almost was a song I was going to play today that he sang. But he's another one that has unfortunately passed away. So our condolences go to him and his family. What's next? Okay, we'll do the giveaway thing now. So there were two stories that came out this week that are very similar and are both intriguing in their own right. It seems to be a new trend, I guess, maybe, because there's two stories about it this week. A man who owns a comic book store in Illinois, actually owns about 3 of them, but he is going to be giving away one of his comic book stores. Giving it away. You don't have to buy it from him. He'll give it to you. You only have to enter, what is it? Let's see, do I have something? It's some sort of, you have to write some sort of, and this is a trend you're going to see in the next story I'm talking about too. You have to write like a letter to him or something like that explaining why he should give the reins of the comic book store to you and not to anybody else. But if he does that, you're not going to have to, put out any money to fix it up or whatever, unless you want to. You can keep it exactly the same way it is, and your base will keep coming in. You'll keep making money without having to put any money out of your pocket, except for a little note to him. So it's intriguing. The only thing that makes it a little hard for me is that it's in Illinois, and I don't know if I really want to move to Illinois to do this. Neither would I think about would I want to move to Alberta, Canada. While it is a nice place and Canada's really nice, I don't know if I could handle constant snow and ice, and I have to be a Canadian citizen, which isn't bad. I mean, it'd be cool and all that stuff. But a woman is giving away a $1.7 million house, giving it away for the tune of $25 and a letter. This woman, she fairly well off, I guess. Her house is worth $1.7 million. It's like 3,800 square feet, nestled in a nice little town called Millartown or something like that in Alberta, Canada. And it's a nice house, got some good yard as well. And it's an older woman, and she had some health issues, and she can no longer traverse the stairs. So she's going to downsize into something where she'll be able to move around better in one level and stuff like that. But, she wanted to, sell this house. So, she put it on the market. Nobody was buying it. People were saying, we think it's a little bit too expensive. So she dropped it down to like $1.7 million. People still like, yeah, I think it's still too expensive. Nobody was biting. And so she's getting frustrated. She wants to get out of this house and get back to her, her regular life and not worry about it. I mean, she loves this house, but she understands that she can't really live there anymore. So what she came up with is she came up with an idea to kind of get her money back, but also, give a chance for somebody who might want it, to give them hope to have this wonderful house. So basically what you have to do is you have to write a letter to her, much like with the comic book store, about why you and your family should come to this house and why you should be given the house. And you have to pay a $25 fee to get your letter to her. Now, what she's hoping is that that's going to draw the lottery crowd in. So thousands of people are going to be writing letters to her and paying the $25 fee. And that fee is going to go directly to her being able to buy out the house. She also said she'd be giving a portion of the money to a women's shelter, which is also nice. But the main reason why she's doing the $25 thing is to get her to basically have her house sold or bought by people writing a letter to her. But only one person is going to get it's the lottery. It's basically the lottery, and only one person, one family, is going to get the house. So it gives you hope that, I might be able to get a $1.7 million house in Canada, which is absolutely stunning and gorgeous, for no money down on my part, and I can live, in the lap of luxury, whatever, with on my low-cal budget. And all I have to do is just pay a $25 fee. Makes sense, right? She's got a deadline of April 5th, but she will move the date if not a lot of people are signed up for it, and if because she wants to try to recoup her money back. So it's interesting. So you got two different stories, basically about the same thing: people giving away stuff, and both of which I would have loved to do both, but I'm not moving to Canada. I'm not moving to Illinois. I'm staying here. All right, it's 1:24. I've been on for about an hour. I guess it's time for our sex talk. Plus, it's the last story on this page, and then I'll do the other stuff. This one is one of the non-dick stories. But this one is a woman was arrested for masturbating in public. Now, normally, it's like, if you do masturbate in public, you'd think that people would be, a little strategic about it. They would put something over their lap and they would do it, or they would be listening to music, and the ecstasy they have would be like them listening to music, and they would, and you wouldn't see them doing it. This lady decided she wasn't going to do that. She needed to come, so she was on the ground, legs straight up in the air, legs spread straight up in the air, masturbating, and so she got arrested for that. So that is an actual story that's out there now. There's also another non-dick story, but it's connected to sex in a way. Everybody knows Pornhub. Pornhub is the place online where, go ahead, type it into search and see what's on there. It's a website that shows nothing but porn. And you can have, different, if there's specific things that you are into, you type it into the search engine, they'll find any videos connected to that. Well, a guy decided he wanted to create his own Pornhub channel, but he decided to do it a little bit differently. Pornhub, you're expecting to see hardcore sex and nudity and stuff like that. This guy shows no nudity and no sex. He's just a normal guy. I guess he's fairly good looking, I guess. Just making videos of him doing regular things. Vacuuming, cleaning dishes, folding clothes, doing laundry, taking care of the pets, taking care of children maybe, I don't know, making dinner, setting the table, doing stuff that, a lot of women might be frustrated that their husbands don't do with them. I mean, I try to do my part. I set the table, I do laundry, I make the bed, I vacuum somewhat, I do the dishes occasionally, but I try to be fair like that. But they're uplifting and tender, and it's driving women absolutely crazy because they're seeing this nice guy doing stuff that they wish their husbands would do. Now, I doubt that women are getting off on seeing a dude do the laundry, but hey, who knows? Never know. So let's talk penises now. Here's a couple of interesting stories. St. Louis woman was arrested for biting her husband's genitals off after she found out he was cheating on her. Hey, you know what? Lorena Bobbitt chopped off her husband's wiener when he found out she was cheating. Actually, was he abusing her, or either abusing her or was having an affair, whatever, but that happened. So, biting it off, wow, that's even more painful and actually even more impressive than someone taking a knife and slicing it off. I guess you can bite it off, I suppose, if your teeth are, I guess, I don't know. I never find out, too. A man was horrified that his penis cracked during rough sex with his lover, and it swelled to the size of a wine bottle. So obviously he had some sort of injury to his penis while having rough sex with his, lover or whatever, and freaked out when he heard a crack, and then it swelled up. So obviously he broke his penis. Again, I don't think I've ever heard that happen. It's never happened to me, so I don't know. A woman died of an overdose as her lover made her perform oral sex on him after sprinkling his penis with cocaine. So he put cocaine down there and then told his lover to blow him, I guess, for all intents and purposes, and sucking the cocaine in caused an overdose, and she died. So that's a horrible sex story, but sometimes it happens. Finally, we have a porn addict, and this is another horrible story. A porn addict son kills his parents before stealing $197,000 of their savings that he was going to give to his cam girlfriend. He probably met her online, and they do these live things where she strips for him and they mutually masturbate or whatever. And so he thought that this was like real, so he killed his parents and stole their money and gave it to her. So a couple of horrible sex stories, but it has to be done on Dylan Knows. That's what we talk about here. So that should be all of the sex stories I have this week. Yes. Wisconsin was colder than the Antarctic this week due to the polar vortex and their location. I guess understandable. That makes perfect sense. Colder than Antarctica. Wow. A Funko movie is coming. I'm a huge Funko Pop fan, and the Lego movie did really well. So, hey, why don't we make a Funko movie? Why not? It's easy. They've done many videos before with Funkos, and you got all kinds of different characters you can use, and you can do a similar sort of Lego thing where you can have different genres all interacting with each other. So, cool on that. DC, the DC Cinematic Universe, after their huge success of Aquaman, they've decided that we're going to move on and make throw our hat into the ring. They're going to be releasing 3 films in 2021, which is still 2 years away because they got to make them and stuff like that. I mean, they're still releasing. I mean, right now the Birds of Prey movie with Harley Quinn is being filmed right now. That's going to be released next year. So there's still Wonder Woman 2 is coming out next year. So they're still releasing movies, and then Aquaman 2 got a sequel. It'll be out in probably 2022, probably. But probably not 2021 because they have 3 movies coming out in 2021. One is sort of a new Batman movie, another Batman movie with another Batman. Matt Reeves is going to be the director. He's the guy that did the updates of the Planet of the Apes movies. So, but it's supposed to focus more on his detective stuff, which is good because none of the other Batman movies have really did a lot with this detective stuff. Michael Keaton did a couple scenes with it, but nothing too major about it. I think Bale might have done a little bit about it, but that was really about it. It was mostly more about the villains and the fighting and the stuff like that. So we'll see. But again, it's another Batman movie. It's like, with a different Batman. It's like, God, is that your 5th or 6th one now? Let me see about that. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. So it was 6. So this would be your 7th Batman actor. It's like James Bond all over again. Except James Bond hasn't had that many. So they've had 5 maybe. So you have that. James Gunn, who, remember, last year was under the gun with some comments he made, and we talked about that already, about things like that. And then Marvel fired him off of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. DC swooped in and got him to do Suicide Squad 2. So he's actually going to be doing Suicide Squad 2, and it's finally been announced. It's going to be 2021 as well. And it is going to be basically a light reboot. So it's going to be, they said, here's the keys to the Suicide Squad. Do what you want with it. We don't care. Then who knows? It's Warner Brothers. So they might order him to do things like you got to add Harley or Joker or whatever. But for the most part, right now, it looks like they're giving the keys to James Gunn because of his, success with Guardians of the Galaxy and letting him do something similar with Suicide Squad. So it'll allow him to do his own version of the Suicide Squad. So we'll see what happens if that turns out to be true. And then the DC Super Pets, which is a fantastic kids story. I guess either animated or live action film. They're going to be doing that as well. That's going to be a lot of fun. And even the kids will be, let's see, Noel would be 14 and no, it would be 15. And Noah would be like 15, like 11, 10, no, hold on, 12, 12-ish. They might still want to see it. I want to see it, so we'll see. So that'll be a lot of fun. So those will be good. So DC's making a little bit of a run on things. Here's a couple of Wolverine stories. One, Disney Plus, the streaming service that he hasn't even started yet, but they're talking about their $100 million TV shows they're going to be doing with the actors playing the roles of the Marvel characters that they're playing in the movies. Well, this is the first sign of them trying something different with the Fox crossover. Them owning Fox now, or it will be, they'll own them in June, but they'll have all the rights to the characters again. They are postulating a Wolverine TV show without Hugh Jackman. Will be coming maybe to Disney Plus. So that's the first sign that they are actually starting to look at these groups of characters that they'll be getting back when Fox gets folded into Disney. And the other thing is, and this one I've talked about Kevin Smith, about him being the rah-rah, and it's like the third week I'm talking about Kevin, the rah-rah, pop culture comic guy, just because he's a filmmaker who owns a comic book store and is a comic guy. He's the guy that everyone goes to for their, it's like he's the official spokesperson of comics people, which he isn't. And I mentioned that before, but here's another one that he's come out. He said a Wolverine movie starring Tom Cruise would make over $1 billion. And I have to say, you're absolutely crazy. The only thing Tom Cruise has got is he's got the size for Wolverine, but he does not have the look to me, of what Wolverine should be like. Even if you give him the mutton chops like that, you're still going to see Tom Cruise. Now with Hugh Jackman, nobody really knew who Hugh Jackman was when he was picked as Wolverine, and now he's a legend. You need to have something like that. But if you just make Tom Cruise Wolverine, people are going to say, "Hey, it's Tom Cruise Wolverine," and even though it's Tom Cruise, I don't want to see that movie with Tom Cruise as Wolverine. I just don't. A man swims from Japan to Hawaii to bring about awareness on ocean pollution. That in and of itself is an amazing feat. I mean, it's not like Hawaii and Japan are like neighbors. It's not like the Channel, where people swim the English Channel, which is the dividing point between Ireland or not Ireland, England and Europe. That's this is the Pacific Ocean, and it's a long period between Hawaii. It's like 5-hour flight, I think, from Hawaii to Japan. So it's a long stretch of water, and this dude swam it to bring about awareness of pollution, which is great. No, I'm not knocking it. It's a great story, and it's very interesting, and the fact that he had this stamina to do it is fairly interesting. I don't know why millennials get picked on all the time, but the headline I saw today is millennials have been watching Seinfeld on, I guess, Netflix now, and they find it offensive. Okay, that's fine. Are you trying to make a statement that millennials are so, snowflakey powder puffs that they can't handle non-PC stuff? Look, I watched Seinfeld. I liked it, but I didn't love it. The characters are despicable, and it was kind of funny, but it's not like the greatest sitcom of all time, and it's not even a great sitcom. I mean, it was unique in that the storylines were your everyday. They spend a whole episode waiting to go to a Chinese restaurant, and it's about the characters, stuff like that. But the characters are unlikable, and that's the way that they wanted to do it. I mean, that's why I still can't believe that fans of the show are upset with how the series ended with them going to jail, because that's who they are. They're despicable, awful characters who belong in jail. So give millennials a break, man. Who cares if they find stuff? Who cares if people find stuff offensive? If you don't find it offensive, fine. That's your thing. You don't need to ridicule people for finding things offensive that you don't find offensive. So just back the frick off, man. Jesus. There was a middle-aged Merlin manuscript found, so I guess Merlin was a real person, and there's a manuscript now that proves that Merlin was a real person. So they discovered this, and hey, maybe it means King Arthur was real too, and the Knights of the Round Table and Camelot and all that jazz. Never-ending stuffed pasta is a new thing at Olive Garden. They always had never-ending breadsticks and salad, and now they have never-ending stuffed pasta. So go to Olive Garden and get yourself some never-ending pasta. KFC presents the fried chicken Cheetos sandwich. Fried chicken sandwich filled with, covered with Cheetos. You know, there's some times where I've put Doritos in my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and bit down on that because I like the crunchiness. But you give me crunchy peanut butter, I'm going to say, F no, I'm not going to take that stuff. But I just like the crunchiness and the flavor of the Doritos mixed with the peanut butter and jelly. So I guess Cheetos mixed with chicken is good, I suppose. It might be pretty good. Who knows? Security fog is a new thing now. It's a new crime prevention tactic. The ads that they've been showing for it is, people breaking into your house. And when they break into your house, all of a sudden this fog shoots down at them and it freaks them out and they run away. Or people trying to break into an ATM machine and the fog shoots them in the face and it scares them and they run out. It must be some sort of survival instinct put in that maybe this is a poison gas or something like that that could kill you. I mean, to me, security fog is just an annoyance, It's not like, they're spraying you with ink or anything that you'll be able to not take off and you'll be able to be found easily. It's fog. It'll dissipate soon enough. But we'll see. Maybe there's something to it. I don't know. I just don't think it's a viable security defense. Starship Troopers may be getting a TV show and a PG-13 reboot, but the TV show may feature the original cast members. I guess that's fine. There really was no, Neil Patrick Harris is part of that group. Denise Richards is no longer a thing. And stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Jake Busey, you don't know who half these people are anymore, so who knows? A study shows drinking wine is better for you than exercise if you want to live longer. So again, these studies are always don't swallow them with don't believe everything you hear about that. Chewy Skittles are a thing. It's Skittles, but without the crunchy candy outer part. It's just the chewy inside. They're now a thing. You just grab them and it's just chewing the chewy part of the Skittle. A lot of people are like, no, that's disgusting. Yeah, it's Skittles. I like Skittles. Crunchy outer coating or not, who cares? It's candy. It's good. I should add this to the sex stuff. A Cape Cod man was found dancing naked on his neighbor's porch. Weird. Oh, sounds like my wife is home. Another study shows the more you hang out with your mother, the longer your mother will live. So, if you want your mom to live to a nice long life, go spend some time with her. Woman gets stuck in an elevator over a weekend. That's always someone's biggest fear. It's a Friday, you're 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, like the last person in the building, and you get stuck in the elevator. Now, how are you going to? And it's the whole weekend. How are you going to eat? How are you going to drink? How are you going to go to the bathroom? How are you going to sleep? I guess hopefully she was, she contacted security or the cleaning crew discovered her or whatever, and maybe helped her in some way to get all that. But I could not imagine being stuck in a elevator all weekend. A student died in his sleep after eating pasta that was left out for 5 days. So this is pasta that was left outside of the refrigerator, not refrigerated on a plate, on a table in a dorm room or something like that for 5 days, never thrown out, just sitting there. And the guy said, oh, I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to finish up this pasta. He eats the pasta, goes to bed, ends up dying. 5 days, a lot could happen. And, fungus and sick stuff can get in there and take you out. Netflix has a Z Nation prequel coming up called Black Summer. I was a fan of Z Nation, but I lost interest after about the third or fourth season. It just finished its run on Sci-Fi, but now there's going to be a prequel which details the beginning of the zombie apocalypse on Z Nation, done in the same crazy Z Nation format. So that might be something worthwhile to take a look at, and hope it'd be even better if they also get Z Nation on Netflix, so you can watch the whole seasons again. I think it already is, to be honest. One of the most disgusting cocktails I've ever heard is going to be the new rave cocktail of the summer, which this is what they're declaring it, but I honestly don't see this because it's disgusting. It's called the American Miracle Cocktail, and it's made with Miracle Whip, cheeseburger infused gin, honey mustard syrup, lemon lime juice, heavy cream. You shake that all up with ice, and you garnish it with French fries. Sounds absolutely disgusting. Now, how do you get cheeseburger infused gin? Do you get a bottle of gin and throw a cheeseburger in there and just sort of let it sit and soak all that stuff up, and then get the cheeseburger thrown out and you have the juices of the cheeseburger in there? I mean, I know you have flavored vodka, so do you have flavored gins? I don't think so. And just, Miracle Whip and cheeseburger infused gin and honey mustard. It just sounds absolutely grotesque and disgusting. And it's going to be the hot cocktail this summer. So we'll find out. To be continued. It's just disgusting, dude. What else do we have here? I think I got all the stories except for the Black Panther stuff. So Black Panther, as I said, is going through its award season now and getting a lot of acclaim, and it's failing in some parts and it's winning in others, and so Spider-Verse. So we're going to talk about that right now. But first, real quick, for Black History Month, which started on February 1st, and it's the whole month of February, Black Panther will be re-released in theaters, and you can go see it for free as part of Black History Month, so good on that. Black Panther wins big at the SAG Awards, including the top prize of best what's the group? Best group actors. I can't think of the name. I was part of a really good one in college. I can't think of it right now, but ensemble, that's what it is. Best ensemble is like their best picture, and Black Panther won that hands down. Black Panther also won, and I didn't know there was I should have assumed there was, but there was the Art Directors Guild Awards. It won the top prize at the Art Directors Guild Awards with Best Production Design for a Fantasy Feature Film, which absolutely means that they should win for Best Production Design at the Oscars. They totally deserve to win that. And then Spider-Verse won big at the Annie Awards, which is their animation awards, including the top prize of Best Animated Feature. It won 7 awards in general, so Spider-Verse has taken over as well, so good on that. I just noticed another animal story, which I missed. A bird was filmed using a bottle cap to sled down a snowy roof. And it was caught on film, so it's not faked and stuff like that. It's actually very cute to see that as well. Anything else? The San Antonio Spurs, the basketball team, their mascot is a coyote. During a game, I don't know when, recently I guess, a bird got into the arena, and I guess during halftime or during a break or whatever, the mascot, the coyote mascot, came running onto the court, chasing the bird with a net, and eventually caught the bird and was able to get the bird helped out of the arena. So it's the video made that as the best play of the game, they called it. So that's kind of really interesting as well. Last week I told you the story about the woman who was arrested in Walmart for riding around on the motorized cart and drinking wine from a Pringles can. Well, they jumped on that, and they've actually created Pringles wine tumblers that look like Pringles bottles and has Pringles name on it, but they're actually made for drinking wine. So entrepreneurship at its best, I guess. Red Velvet Kit Kats for Valentine's Day. I missed that on my Valentine's Day story. That's something I want to look out for my kids because they like Red Velvet, and even my wife, I guess, for that as well. She's a big fan of Red Velvet like that. There's video of a little girl who wanted to get, one of those video game prizes where they have the stuffed animals inside it, and it's not really the claw so much, but I guess it's you pull something. It didn't look like the claw, but there was a bunch of stuffed animals, and it was like a regular little video game thing. Well, the little girl saw what she really, really wanted, so she crawled into the spot where the prize gets dropped, and she was able to fit into that, squeezed into it, fit into it, and got into the machine. There's video of all this, and it is absolutely insane. There were some cat slippers that showed up on my feed this week that Dawn liked the looks of also. They are heated slippers that look like Grumpy Cat type of thing, and she said, I want these and stuff like that, and she was looking into them. Well, I was going to look into them to get them for her for Valentine's Day. I still might, but I was looking at the description of them. So they're heated slippers, but somehow the way you heat them, they had two options when I went to buy it, and they're different prices: wireless and USB enabled. So you either need to, if you buy the wireless ones, you have to do something with your computer, which will set up, or your phone, I guess, which will set up a way to heat up the cat slippers wirelessly. I guess phones can do anything nowadays, I guess. Or there's one where you get a USB port and you slide it in the slot here, and that'll help heat it up as well. So I'm not exactly sure. I step back as like, I don't know if I want to get these now, because that just seems awfully a lot to do to get heated slippers. Is you have to turn your computer on or use your phone to access the heating of it. So I don't know. I did not know about this. I forgot about it till I saw it posted on my page today. Today is February 3rd, 2019, or 2/3/19. From the Pixar movie Monsters, Inc., way back in the early 2000s, there was a code in the movie called a 2319, which means that a monster had a connection to the humans, which was toxic to monsters. So whenever 2319 was called, the hazard group would come out, and they would shave the monster and douse it with some sort of disinfectant spray and stuff like that. So it was a ongoing joke through the movie. Well, today is 2319, 2/3/19, that 2319 day. So I've seen it posted a bunch of times. So I figure why not mention it as well. Space, the final frontier. Astronomers accidentally discover a brand new galaxy while looking over a Hubble picture of other galaxies. They notice another one in the corner, is like, whoa, wait a second, we know that existed. China's on the dark side of the moon. They've discovered that the dirt on the dark side of the moon does not keep the heat. They do get heat, believe it or not. It does still get heat from the sun. It does not keep the heat like obviously the front-facing moon part of the moon. So the temperatures are extraordinarily cold on the dark side of the moon, which is you'd think it's kind of a duh thing, but for scientists, it's kind of an interesting, a neat revelation. Magic mushroom was named a breakthrough for depression by the FDA, and they're fast-tracking it for approval. So that's good. They found a magic mushroom that'll help stave off depression. Anything to help stave off depression is great. So the FDA is working on trying to get that fast-tracked approved. I'm getting my wife a bunch of Pokemon stuff for Valentine's Day because she's a Pokemon. Okay, Mom, she's back now. I'm getting a bunch of Pokemon stuff for Valentine's Day. She can't hear me anyway. So I'm ahead looking at this. They're having Pikachu sneakers now. So maybe I'll look into that a little bit. And there was some other stuff as well. Unilad Gaming is what it was. So I'm going to look in that, and they had a whole bunch of other Pokemon stuff that I'd take a look at for her because she loves it. I figure that might be a good way to do stuff. Sad story. A TSA official jumped to his death at the Orlando airport today, or yesterday, rather, I should say. There was a hotel at the airport, and he jumped from the roof and killed himself. I don't know if that had anything to do with the government shutdown or it was just depression or whatever. So it's a sad story. From 2011, this got posted onto my Facebook feed because it's one of these things where I like to read these crazy headlines. Here's a crazy headline from 2011. Gordon Ramsay's dwarf porn star look-alike found dead in Badger den, half eaten. I don't know how I missed this story back in 2011, but well, there it is now. So again, it's one of these bizarre headline stories you did not expect to see. A while back, I went on a rant about how the governor of Maryland unilaterally decided that all schools were going to start the day after Labor Day, and that upset Dawn and I very much because that means that we have to pay for an extra week of camp because we both work, and we've already, our grandparents don't want to put them on and have them stay with their grandparents for a whole week and put that on them, and it shouldn't have been unilaterally decided in executive order. The school boards used to decide when the school year started, and he took that away from them. Well, finally, the new General Assembly is thinking maybe there's something we should have done a little bit more research on, and before we unilaterally decided to let him do this. There was no debate on it. He just did it because it was to help out his Ocean City cronies and other stuff. So I didn't really think about how it affected normal working couples. But now General Assembly is like, maybe we should look into this a little bit. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe they're bringing about stuff that'll bring legislation that'll bring about changing it back so that the schools will be able to go back to picking when school starts. If it starts after Labor Day, their decision, that's fine. You can do that, absolutely. But if it's more feasible for them to start it the week before, then start the week before, because that would be better for us. I am not surprised, but I am totally flummoxed by that awful Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, discussing that he does not think that Election Day should become a federal holiday because there's too many federal holidays, and it's a power grab by the Democrats. Now think about that a second. Election Day. We're a democracy. How do we elect our officials? By voting. When? On Election Day. Now, because Election Day is on a Tuesday, and a lot of workplaces do not close or do not allow you to take time off to vote, which should be illegal anyway. Or if they do, you have to do it before work or after work or on your lunch break. And by then, everybody's doing that. So the wait to vote is insane. This affects working class people and poor people. And they say it would be a power grab by the Democrats because they realize that if they turned it to a federal holiday and moved it to a Saturday or something like that, when everybody can have a chance to vote, that the Republicans would probably lose all the time because their platform is not what the United States people want. Why else would you say it's a power grab? It makes perfect sense. Why is Columbus Day a holiday? Columbus was a warmongering killer of native species. Yes, he helped bring people over to America, but he didn't even land in America. There's a lot about Columbus. So why don't you just turn that back to a regular day and turn Election Day into a federal holiday and force companies to close down on those days as well? I'm all for it, not because I want an extra day, because it's easier to go out and vote. And I would like to see Americans vote. And obviously not just the people who are represent the Republicans. Now, why not? The fact that he said that it's a power grab and that he basically is saying that if this became a federal holiday and everybody got to vote, that the Republicans would lose all the time. He's basically saying that Americans don't want Republicans in office, but because they have this set up that it's not a holiday. It's suppressing the vote of those people who have, and that's illegal. So, way to go, Mitch McConnell. You're an ass. Finally, this last story, the racist governor in Virginia, discovered with, his old medical school yearbook, was in blackface next to a guy in a Ku Klux Klan outfit. People are calling for his resignation because we can't have that kind of racist stuff. Even the Republicans, even though that they usually look past racism stuff because it's a Democrat. Hey, let's get on Democrats. And then if they don't get rid of them, hey, why are you picking on us guys? And your own guy's doing it also, which is a terrible belief system anyway. But the fact of the matter is, the question that's out there is, now what I've heard is this governor is not racist anymore, or maybe he was back then, I don't know, but he's changed. And the question I want to postulate out there is, can people change? If you have a certain belief system when you were younger, and then gradually as you get older, you see how it affects people, can you still change, or are you still that typical person who at one time was a racist piece of shit? That's the debate that's going on. And to be honest, I don't think there's any good answer because you really can't tell. Maybe it's different for every person. Maybe some people are better at it than others who can change. Maybe the people who are never going to change, there's proof of that also. But can people change, or will they change? Have they fully changed? I mean, even though they're not racist pieces of shit anymore, are they still have that belief, or why would they have that belief, and what made them change? I don't know. So that's a debate for another time, I guess, but I just wanted to throw out there anymore. Okay. So I haven't done this for a couple weeks, so that's the episode. Oh, I got a couple things to do first before I do Check I Day. The anniversary stuff. Not many this week. We have The Wonder Years, came out in 1988 this week. The Incredible Shrinking Woman with Lily Tomlin and Charles Grodin came out in 1981. It's one of those cable films I watched all the time on HBO, and it's entertaining. She's All That, one of my favorite movies, came out in 1999 with Freddie Prinze Jr. And Rachel Lee Cook. And one of my favorite shows from my childhood, which I wish I could watch again, You Can't Do That on Television, Canadian show, came out 40 years ago this week. So happy anniversary to you. I don't know, and water were always the fun phrases that caused water and slime to come flying down, and you got to know the characters. And Alanis Morissette, when she was younger, she was a part of that group. So perfect. Now we're going to do Check I Day, which I haven't done in a really long time. So today is Super Bowl Sunday, obviously. It's also American Painters Day, Dump Your Significant Jerk Day, Elmo's Birthday, Ford Chaplin's Memorial Day, National Carrot Cake Day, National Cordova Iceworm Day, who is a supernatural creature, National Missing Persons Day, National Patient Recognition Day, National Wedding Ring Day, National Women's Physician Day, Super Chicken Wing Day, Take a Cruise Day, the day the music died, which I didn't really get into that much, but yeah, this is the day that the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and Buddy Holly died in a plane crash. And that American Pie song is based on this is the day the music died. It happened today. February 2nd, besides being Groundhog Day, is California Kiwi Fruit Day, Candlemas, which I guess is a witch holiday. It's the Feast of the Purification of the Virgin. Crepe Day, Groundhog Job Shadow Day, Heavenly Hash Day, Hedgehog Day, Ice Cream for Breakfast Day, International Pisco Sour Day, Marmot Day, Self-Renewal Day, Sled Dog Day, Take Your Child to the Library Day, Tater Tot Day was yesterday, World Ukulele Day, World Wetlands Day, and February 1st, which is as far back as I'll go today, Bubble Gum Day, Car Insurance Day, Change Your Password Day, Decorating with Candy Day, G.I. Joe Day, Give Kids a Smile Day, Hula and the Kula Day, National Baked Alaska Day, National Freedom Day, National Get Up Day, National Serpent Day, National Wear Red Day, Robinson Crusoe Day, Spunky Old Broads Day. And that's it for February. Now, tomorrow is Liberace Day. This is February 4th. Liberace Day, National Creative Vacuum Day. Hemp Day is tomorrow. Sweet. National Homemade Soup Day. National Quacker Day. National Stuffed Mushroom Day. National Thank Mailman Day. It's Rosa Parks Day. Torture Abolition Day. USO Day. World Cancer Day is tomorrow. So we got some big stuff tomorrow as well. So that is it for that. And that's it for episode 280 of Dylan Knows. Next week, we'll see when it comes on. Maybe I'll get back to the Saturday night thing, or maybe I'll do Sunday again. I don't know. But episode 281 with more news you can use, including the winner of the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that. And anything else that comes our way. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Super Bowl. Have a good party if you're going to have a party. Don't forget, you got to go to work tomorrow. But the temperature here on the East Coast should be back to fairly warm and normal, so it won't be too bad. All right, y'all. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.